Hey everyone, and welcome to Listen, Love, Connect, where today's guest, Richard from Rockology, will be joining us and discussing what fatherhood is and overcoming challenges. So let me invite him on and we can get started. How are
How are
you?
you? Good, good. You?
Yes, I'm doing fine.
It's
Uh,
your it's your project already out? No, right?
yes, the website's out.
Oh,
Yeah, and so we're just
great.
collecting those emails because anyone who enters their email in can have a chance to win one of our exceptional heroes.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, do you want to introduce yourself, your son, and the platform you've created?
Yes, my name is Richard. I'm actually about to launch my project, Rocketology. It's a mix between me and my son. My mother-in-law wrote a book about him, and I'm finishing writing my book that both of them connected and kind of create rocketology in a way. But in general, like I grew up in a regular middle class family down in Brazil, and I was always a sensitive kid. Like I was sensitive to energies. Like some places I didn't feel good, and sometimes depending how the emotions were, and that led me to actually cry a lot. I was a kid that cried a lot, and growing up on a patriarchal society, because Brazil is very, my family is not really like super traditional in this way, but the 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 country and the society that I grew up in was very like that. So it was very hard, and that led me to a lot of emotional issues because I became afraid first because of my music taste. I thought I was evil, and second for not being able to express my feelings. I was afraid of being put on a straitjacket or on a medicine, something like that. So that just became like a huge monster in my head in general, and which led me to a lot of issues later on in life, uh, like emotional issues that I didn't know how to deal with, and all of it. And rocketology, it's a way for me to actually put that out there, put all of that was in my mind for so long, just to put it out there and talk a little bit about my feelings, but also I wanted to do something that it was being the change, and for that, I always had a dream of learning the guitar. So I tried to put my dream of learning the guitar with being the change. So I started to create punk rock songs for music for kids, pretty much. I was like, it's more focused towards kids because like I had the ideas with Luke, and actually that's quite interesting because Luke is the one who asked me to do fast songs because he likes my air guitar, and he always asking, he does the sign for fast because he doesn't he's non-verbal, so he asked for fast music. So I started to transform my air guitar into a real one, and then started to create songs, and he likes it and I like it, and I thought like why not to put it out there and see if other kids like it. And I don't know, the way I view is like, well, maybe if there is some songs of that style focus on kids, maybe they can grow up not thinking that that's such a bad thing, and it's just music, it's just a different style, it's just a whole different ballgame. So that it's my that's actually the mark that I want to leave in the to the world, be the change that you wish to see in the world. So I kind of combine my uh, I want to say trauma, but my emotionally challenges inspired with my son and my daughter through through music and art. And a part of this project is also philosophical. So I write all of the stuff that I kind of hold it in for a long time, and
Yeah.
on that time seemed like Looney Tunes, and now it's a little bit more, well, okay, let's hear what they have to say. So I kind of wanted to do that too.
That's great. So, like, rock has helped you and your son in a way of just expressing yourselves.
Yes, it's expressing, and also rock for me was it was something that it made me not feel alone. You know, like
Yeah.
I had so much difficulty in expressing and talking, and as you know, as men, we don't talk a lot about our emotions. So I
Right.
never really had uh, big connections with friends where I could just sit and say like, "Hey, this is what's going on." So music, it was a way for me to realize that I wasn't alone. You know, even though I felt loneliness, but with music, and especially after he was born,
Mhm.
um, I needed something to hold on to it, and music was there. You know, I have a great connection with my wife, but uh, you know, mom and dad, we feel different things in different ways and different perspectives, and we all have different childhoods. So it hit me differently, and like I didn't know what to do, and I went to music. And with Luke, you know, I'm a Reiki master. I don't know if you know what Reiki is, but it's healing through energies. It's more like energy work, and I do that on my son. But also the music helped like elevate our energy, and the interesting part is that uh, his muscles, like he has a muscle condition called Nemalai myopathy, which I forgot to introduce on the first uh, question. He has
Yeah.
a muscle condition called Nemalai myopathy, which affect the muscles, but he affected because I was an athlete before, like on that journey, that about my feelings, I went for a search, and I went to do Ironmans, and I learned a lot about muscles and things like that, and diet and all of that good stuff. But with him, because he affects the type 2 of fiber muscles, which is the fast contraction ones, the fast music help him move. And so it's kind of also not only exercise the vibration, but also helps him move more. And he dances, and we put him in the water, he dances in the water. So it's a very good exercise. Besides being a spiritual connection, it's also a form of exercise, and music help him uh, in that way.
So, with him, and what is his condition? Mel.
Nemalai myopathy is
Okay.
very, very rare.
With that, what challenges like have you faced and had to overcome? If you don't.
Yeah, well, it's like the way I see it is like everybody gets challenges. You
Right.
know, like, some are visible or some are not, and his is clearly visible. Uh, so you know, in the beginning, like the first year was very hard because we didn't know, and there's not a whole lot of information about MLI myopathy out there. Uh, it was difficult to navigate with that, and in the same way, like with the doctors, because I use a lot of my intuition to guide it because it's something so rare. I had to, you know, do this kind of stuff, and my wife and I we had to do a lot of research, and we to take him out of the NICU was we had to do a whole meeting with all the doctors because everybody was scared of letting us to go home, and they want to put him in an institution, and we were like, no, he's our kid, we're gonna go home. So that was a challenge to figure out he actually what kind of support he actually needed in order for us to go home. And it's a challenge until today because everything it's always it's not black and white with him. It's always like what's going on and that kind of stuff. So
do you find that, because I know he's in a chair, right?
Yes, yes.
Do you find that you like some other challenges is finding accessibility in certain parts of like stores?
Yes. Well, one 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 challenge that we had in the beginning was the van. You know, once we get our van adapted, we actually the option to adapt the entrance from the back, because in this way we could stop anywhere. And but that is always a challenge, to not have enough ramps, or not, or people that don't respect. You know, like even in his school one day, the lady stopped in the middle of the disability parking, like where I couldn't put my ramp down, and then I was right next to her. She's like, I asked her like, can you move your car so we can get out? She just like ignored me. So those type of things are frustrating and very challenging. Uh, with the COVID, of course, we're going out less, but parks, even though Colorado is really good with that, we still suffer a lot with entrance and things like that. Also, too, it's sometimes the entrance is in the back. There is actually a book. I forgot the name of the book, but the girl, she's in a wheelchair, and it's a story. And she goes to the museum with the school, and they tell like, "Oh, you gotta get in through the back." And she's like, "Why? Why can't I have a ramp in the front like everybody else?" And so, in the end of the book, they actually ended up doing talking to the museum, and the museum it's gonna do a ramp in the front. But that's some of the things that the little things makes a difference. You know, like I try to say, inclusion is not rocket science, because it's in the little things. It's about being seen. Like that lady on the school, she could easily say like, "Well, I'm sorry, you know, like let me just move the car and park in between the lines." I'm like, I'm not asking you to get out. I'm just asking you to park decently so I can take my ramp out. And so those little things makes it challenging. Also, the fact that I am more of his. My wife works, and I stay home most of the time with him. And one thing that also, you get to the hostels, they all look to the mom. They never look to the dad. They think like I don't know anything about it. Like we both know, like everything that the mom knows, I gotta know, and vice versa. But they go straight to the moms, like, okay, mom, because they are so used to, uh, I don't know, like they're not used to with the dads being that present. So
I think that's just the world that like they're so fixated on the moms doing everything at home that they don't know that it could be vice versa, and that things have changed over time where dads are home or more present in their kids' lives.
yeah, and it's and also like it's kind of crazy to put everything on the mom, you know, because in a house there's a lot going on, you know,
Yeah.
like especially if you have two, or even if you just have one kid, you know, like go to school, get lunch ready, and all of that stuff. It's uh, a working mom. Obviously, she's not going to be able to do everything. So more and more, we start seeing dads that are more present because of that. It's a lot of stuff, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Another thing, is there any stereotypes that people think when like they see you or just your whole family in general? Like, are there stereotypes you wish that you could break, like right then and there?
well, I'll be honest. That's my goal with my book, uh, because you know, like one thing I always heard, like I was evil because I listening to rock and roll, and then I was this and this. So when I had Luke, I was like, first thing came in my mind was like, how am I gonna teach him how to accept himself if I haven't accept myself? And since I was using a lot of music on that time to kind of like help me, I received a lot of things like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that you worship the devil and this and this and this." And then I was like, "Hold on, like you don't know how music fit me, you know." And so one of the stereotypes is exactly that. It's just because I listen to rock and roll doesn't mean like I'm a crazy person. I am a little crazy, but you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
I'm
it's
not
not like
afraid.
that I'm mean or anything like that. Also, with Luke, because he's nonverbal and he's in a chair, everybody assumed that he's not gonna understand anything. And he's super smart. He understands more than like everybody else. So that's one of the stereotypes that I would like to to break, because it's like, he's fully capable of his understand you completely. He just have a physical challenge, and I think this is one of the things that I really wish I could break the stereotype. Like, it's not just because I have blue hair and I sing punk rock that I'm like this evil person inside or anything like that. So, and
Or
especially with Luke, like, uh, uh, I always say, like, every time we go to a park, everybody's like looking at us like, oh my God, like, because Luke not only have a good energy, but he comes out in a chair and with, like, having fun, and we're all having fun, and nobody kind of understand. They're like looking like, what's going on? And I know it's just ice, but it's not, like, it doesn't feel really good. So I really
yeah.
wish they could see him as a 5-year-old kid and
Hmm.
not see all the medical conditions before that.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that would be,
Well, every time I see him on your stories and on your posts, he looks like the happiest little kid ever.
yeah, he's always enjoying himself. Like, today, like, he has a big bus, like a big bus. He has to put on top of him, and he was playing with a toy that makes lights and music, and he has to cover the thing, and he's staying there like playing it and enjoying, and he doesn't complain like about anything. He seems like, to me, like a very happy kid, and I love about that like, and that's one thing I like to teach him, is like, it doesn't matter what challenge you have, you can still enjoy your life.
Yeah,
um,
most
like,
definitely.
that's what I did with my life, and that's what I wish I can teach both of my kids the same way.
Yeah. Um, that's amazing. Is there, what's the best part of being a dad?
Ah, there's so many good parts of being a dad, but I think uh, watching them grow and watching them explore the world, and especially Luke, in a way of, like, for example, his birthday. We invited one of his friends for his birthday to spend the day here, like a play day.
Yeah.
We went to the pool and stuff, but in the beginning he was very shy, and then I was like, listen, just go out there and have fun with her, and he did. And when I saw they were both in the pool dancing the same way, like, he was laying down on his pillow dancing, and she was floating and dancing to it. And then I was like, this for me is the best part of being a dad. It's like looking at him with a little bit of challenge, a little bit of shy, but then you go and talk, and then it's like, go over there and just be yourself, and him accepting him in this way, and I think that's probably the best thing of being a dad, and seeing, like, him grow, seeing him doing the stuff that he wants to do. He knows exactly what he wants. Like, every now and then, he's like, I want to go out on a minivan, and we go out on the minivan, and he asks for the music loud, and he's enjoying dancing, like, and this is what I want to see. Like, I want to see him grow. I want to see him, uh, both of my kids, like, grow, follow their purpose, get find, like, a sense of purpose in life and follow it. And I think that's what the best part. But it's also the hardest part, because like, he turned into 5-year-old boy that I didn't even realize, and then now it's like, okay, I gotta accept that he's growing up. He's not that little kid anymore. So it's the best, and also the most difficult part, because then you have to accept that he's growing, that he's, you know, all of that. So
What is your favorite memory?
Favorite memory. Um, well, I think I have a bunch of them. Of course, the birth
Yeah.
was like a big deal, and but I think my favorite was we already moved to Colorado because he was born in Florida and then we moved to Colorado. And one day here we went to the park and coming back we were listening to Foo Fighters Monkey Wrench. And like I said, he's non-verbal, but he asked for his talkers and he kept asking for loud, loud, and loud. So I think that was really funny because we were driving the minivan with the windows open and then the song blasting out loud and he's like laughing and enjoying it. So I think those moments are probably one of my favorite ones.
I love it. That's beautiful. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on here and discussing, I think, is a very hard topic, I think, for anyone. Um, but do you have anything you would want people to know or any last words?
I would say something, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but um, I think if you see a kid with any type of disability, I think first thing I would say is like it's okay to ask, to be curious. I always say that like if somebody want to ask something, just go ahead and ask, and realize that there is a soul in everybody, and there is a person in there, and that person deserves to be seen as a person, as a human, and not be stared at or not be discriminated. I think it's be seen as a kid, and I think it's about to. I think it's I think it's unfair to ask them, like any kid, to uh, uh, to understand you, but you can go into the kid's world and understand him. So I think that's is what I would like to give, and then show to people that inclusion, like I said, is not rocket science. I'm not asking anybody to change the world so things can be done. I'm asking to be seen, to see as a 5-year-old kid that likes to play, that likes to do things like every other kid in the world. I think
Yeah.
that's what I would like to leave.
And my mom is requesting to join. Would you mind if she comes on?
I'm sorry?
My mom is requesting to join us. Do you mind if she comes on?
Of course. Come on, come on.
Hi,
Hi.
nice to meet
Nice to
you.
meet you.
Yes, I wanted to join because I heard her wrapping up, but I wanted to ask you a few questions. And she calls, I'm her mom, but I'm also her business partner. So
Oh,
uh,
nice. I
I'm
thought I
honored.
saw I thought I saw you the other day showing her cleaning up the toilet. I was like, this is awesome.
Yes. You know what? I reversed that role because I've been doing it too many years. So yeah, I had a couple questions because I mean, as when you were talking, I could totally empathize as a parent that it has a child that has experienced trauma or disability, and that support, there's not a lot of support for parents out there. I mean, there's as a parent, you're looking for the support of your child, the therapy of your child, their needs, but I think sometimes the parent gets overlooked as well, or we overlook ourselves because we're
Yeah.
so busy caring for our child. But your platform, I see, you've grown, your platform organically, you're a positive influence. But what more could parents, because I could even use your advice as we advocate for others with disabilities in our field with mental illness and trauma and survivors, what other things can parents do to support parents like you, or where can they look for support themselves? Is there hotlines that you've gone to, or is there groups, Facebook groups that you've joined that has helped you out?
Uh, I I'm really a way. I mean, I tried. I'll be honest. I tried to create a dads group 3 times already, but dads don't seem to open up as easily as mom do. So here in Denver, there is a special needs moms group that it's
Okay.
very active, but I don't participate as much because I'm a dad, and it doesn't. One thing that helped us is Nemaline has a Nemaline myopathy group, support group, but it's mostly to talk about if there's any studies going on or anything like that. So I don't see a whole lot of like emotional support. Um, and I think this is a real problem because
Yes.
guys like me and moms like me sometimes they get lonely and they don't talk about it because it's a difficult talk, like sit down and talk about all of this stuff which involves existence and involves like something much greater than we can all measure it. It gets a little challenging. I do therapy because that's what really really helped me. And sometimes like when you talk to someone, they were like, oh no, don't be this way, don't. They try to minimize, or in a good way they try to take the pain out of it, but it doesn't help you. So I think listening is it's one of the greatest thing, and I love the way you put it out to listen, love, and connect, because it's as long as you listen without judgment, from a non-judgment place, even if you think like this is totally wrong, but just the fact that the person is heard, it makes a huge difference in the world. Like if I go and say like, hey, this is what I'm feeling and I'm scared, and the same thing that when he went to the hospital. The good thing is my wife and I on that time, we not on that time, all the time, we always like this. Usually when I'm down, she's up. And when we were in the NICU, was always like that. When I was down, she was up, she would bring me up, and vice versa. And we share this way. But people that don't have that kind of relationship, it becomes even harder. So I think I don't know any hotlines or anything like that because I never use it. I always had therapy, but I think this is an important issue that needs to happen.
I
People need
agree,
to be heard.
I agree, and I found that the very few groups that I have tried to join is there's a lot of comparing trauma, and it's like, no, trauma is trauma, and what we're trying to do is heal from it, and we're trying to learn how to ground ourselves and keep ourselves, and to compare trauma is not something that is necessary. You don't have to say, well, yeah, it happened, your child has this, but it's worse than mine. No, don't
Yes,
compare.
yeah.
Don't compare what's worse. That's not what we're looking at. How can we support each other?
Yeah.
What do you do, for grounding? Like, I love that you listen to music. For me, sometimes I dance. I dance to 80s music, and when nobody is watching and the girls are around and come out and they're seeing me, and it just to get that adrenaline and that sweat going, because, meditation is a very important to our family, the breathing and all of that, but
Yeah.
sometimes I need like hardcore grounding. I need to feel the ground. I need to feel the bass. I need to feel everything. And because it's an outlet, it's better than crying,
Yeah.
which a lot of times you want to do. And for the dancing, it's like I feel like it's doing so much for me. And then sometimes I end up doing crying, but then it's done, and I feel, okay,
Crying is always healthy.
Yeah.
yes, and crying is always healthy. And so then I feel better afterwards. But it's just to find that group where you can say, hey, I just want you to listen. I want to connect with you. And that's it. I don't need you to fix me. I don't need, I know the tools. I just need to just purge.
Yeah, it's it's
You know?
it's letting it out. I think
Yeah.
it's almost being a therapist. It's sitting
Yeah.
there and listening to you, and it's such a simple thing. And I'm guilty because I am very empathetic, and that's one of my
Yeah.
sensibilities that I had when I was a kid. And your first response is try to fix them and try
Yeah.
to like, no, no, do this or look at the other side. But that doesn't help. Like I found out with time that doesn't help. And what it does help, it's really just listening. But I must say you're not alone on that because I dance too, and I dance and I cry dancing sometimes, and it's weird because 2020 was very heavy emotionally, and I
Yeah.
kind of was writing my book, and it's funny because like I was like I probably one of the only guys in the world that can listen to Motorhead, walking my dog, and cry at the same time, and I did that a lot of times because my trauma or my fears comes like from a religious prospect that I always heard that uh, heavy metal was bad and evil and stuff. But when you tell this to people, they're like, I can't believe it. I was like, well, why can't you believe it? It's like, it happens when I was like 7, 12 years old, and that stuck with me. And until you realize that, like it's almost like you are in a different timeline. Like when certain things happen, you go back to that little child, afraid and thinking that you are evil because of the music. And but some people still don't believe it, and it's not a matter of believing or not. It's a matter of like listening and say like, okay, that happened with you, got it. So what can we do now? Like, or do you expect me to do anything from you, or like you just want me to listen? And I think that human connection, I think it's what is lost in the world, to be honest. Like we're going so fast nowhere, and nobody's stopped to listen and just say like, okay, this is your point of view, let me listen what you have to say. And that little space can be everything for a person. It can make it, honestly, and when we talk about mental health, it can be literally a matter of life and death sometimes. Because
Oh, no, absolutely. And, and I'm going to just, and a little Lincoln Park, don't listen to the words, but I'm telling you, you can get that sweat going. So,
yeah, I like, like it's funny that you said meditation, but I've been meditating since, like, I didn't call meditation, but I meditated since I was 7 years old. I call it concentration on that time. And I needed to do before every exercise that I had, because I played basketball, I skateboard, I did a bunch of things when I was a kid. And today, what I usually do is I meditate, but also learning the music is also a form of meditation for me. And some days I also need to just get the skateboard and go. And
yep,
that speed makes you kind of like feel alive and grounded. And it's
it's
almost like,
grounding. Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's the grounding. I mean, even like as a younger person, I've always been connected with music and dancing. Just because I had a few trauma issues that happened when I was younger, but I didn't know I was grounding because it wasn't educated. We weren't educated on that.
yeah,
But it was feeling the ground, feeling the movement, hearing the bass, being loud, staying in the present. My grandmother, she was one of the strongest women ever, and my best friend, and she would all of a sudden be crocheting and we'd be watching television and a lot had come on her. I mean, she's one of 13. And so maybe someone got a phone call and all of a sudden she'd just scream. And I would come out of the kitchen. I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, I just had to hear myself and get it out. And
yeah,
it's because now I think of it, and with us working with other therapists and talking and engaging, they're like, your grandmother didn't know she was grounding. She was getting that sound out to say, I could hear myself because I'm getting lost in my mind. And
yes,
getting lost in my mind is a rabbit hole I don't want to go down. So for me to scream, I'm here, my granddaughter's here, I'm crocheting. And she didn't even know she was doing it. She's just this Hispanic woman that's just like, wow. And, it made sense. But now that now that we're in the present time and mental health is more prevalent, I think it's bringing awareness. I want to pose something to you, and I'm going to do it publicly. I don't know if you're familiar with Clubhouse.
No.
So Clubhouse is a audio social media. So it's where people go into different rooms at random times and they have support groups. But I wouldn't mind talking with you later and seeing about starting a Clubhouse room where we can be
I'll
inclusive moms and dads.
I'll be more than happy to do that. I'll be honest.
Yeah, and it's random times and we can let the audience know, but then it's going to be this safe place to do exactly what we say, listen, love, and connect.
Yes, I'm totally on board with that, and it's so funny that you said that because when I started the this project that I have, my idea was exactly that. Like, people need to learn this. People need to know about this, because I, like you, I didn't know that listening to music was grounding. And I
Right.
remember, and in my book, there is actually a scene that my brother comes in and I'm listening to Iron Maiden and crying my eyes out because I couldn't cry in public. So I had to hide to cry. And sometimes I was getting so numb that I couldn't cry. But when I listen to certain music, I would let it all out and I feel better, and then I'll feel like present and not lost in my mind. Because if you let it loose in your mind, like, you get caught in this hurricane that
Right.
everything is throwing at you, and like all, good things and bad things come up and you go absolutely nuts. And but I used to scream like, with no voice, like when I was singing. And that's why, like, when I started to learn how to sing now, it became like almost a metaphor for me of getting my voice. And every time when I sing, I'm like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I'm present. I'm a better dad. I'm a better human being. You can ask my wife. It's like I'm not like
You
all over the
function better.
place. So
Yeah, you function better after something like that. And that's where I think the support of parents need. I even get where, I mean, people are afraid to approach me on what happened. Because as Savannah has been very open about her story, and she's open as she's progressing in her healing, and she's open when she's had a bad day. And they get afraid to approach me to ask questions, or they ask a question and it's their delivery was inappropriate. And what I've learned, and this is through therapy, since our family has gone through this with Savannah, through a therapist, is that to be vocal and also advocate for myself. So I've educated, like when they've come to me saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry what happened," and that's the worst thing that could ever happen to a parent.
yeah,
And I'll say, you know what, that's not an appropriate thing to say to someone like me, because it is, and it's something that I can't undo, and you're wishing it never happens. So that kind of thing you keep to yourself. Instead, you send me positive energy. Instead, you say, how can I support you? Is there a group that we can, support, or can we join to listen? Or, can I refer a friend who knows somebody, for something, or just, can I just be there for you? But you have to learn how to ask the questions, and also how to receive from the parents on how we're going to educate you on how you need to approach us, because sometimes there's inappropriate questions. I
yeah,
love the book that I read from Oprah Winfrey. It was What Happened to You? Because before, people says, oh my God, what's wrong with you? You're not
yes,
supposed to, it's not what's wrong with you, what happened to you?
yeah,
Because we're in such a judgmental world.
exactly,
People are judgmental, that you can bully on social media, nobody knows it's you. You can call people out and hide behind an emoji or some weird avatar, instead of, facing what's actually going to come back. We're going to educate you and say, no, your approach was inappropriate. Or maybe approach it different, because you're coming from a place of love and you're coming from a place of compassion, but your approach needed to be a little bit different, or your question or your statement. And
yeah,
I felt that. Have you ever felt that, where someone wants to approach you and ask you, but they don't know how?
yeah. Well, first thing, let me tell you a story. The one thing that I think it was Michael J. Fox that said, pity is just another form of abuse. And growing up, I I heard a lot of like, what's wrong with you? And that also stuck with me because I thought everything was wrong with me, even
Right.
though like nothing was wrong. It's just things happen. Um, but like one day we were at the pool, and the pool was like full of stuff, and we came into to sit on the side, and I don't remember what happened, but somebody was complaining that because the pool was public, but anyways, somebody started complaining, but then when my son comes in, they all change. They were like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm sorry for what? Like I'm like, I don't need your pity. Like, I don't need to make room for me now that you saw my son in the wheelchair. Continue being a jerk that you were before. Like, don't come with that sense. So, those type of things, like right from the beginning, that when my son was born, I tried to change my mindset to, instead of why me, why not me? And when I changed that mindset, I started connecting the dots in my life. And I realized, like, well, I have exactly the kid that I was basically being trained in my life to have, because of all of the stuff that I learned with the muscles and the diet and all of it is helping him now. So I always try to approach from the spiritual side, meaning like things happen for a reason. But there's a lot of like, when people ask, like a lot of things that comes like across, because everybody like, what happened to what's wrong with him? And then instead of like, okay, what happened? Like, is this, instead of
Right.
doing that, I think being curious, is nothing wrong with being curious and
Yeah.
asking like, okay, can you explain me a little bit? And in this way, the person understand, they listen, they understand, and you can connect from them. But if you come from the standpoint like, okay, what's wrong with him? uh, it can hit you in the wrong spot, and it actually
100%.
hit me
The mother
before.
lion comes out or the father bear comes out.
Yes, and that's not pretty. I mean, I'm not the one to judge if it's right or wrong, but it's
No.
like it triggers some points that like it's sometimes it's uncontrollable. It's either gonna make you go down on the rabbit hole in your mind, and you asking yourself like, am I guilty of that? Okay, that's one thing that happened with me a lot. I don't know if it happened with you, but in the beginning,
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it was my fault, and
Yeah.
like I
And it
was
does
just
happen.
punishing myself over and over and over again, until I realized like, no, it's like everybody have their path, and this is his path. And then I started to switch of like, how can I help him overcome his challenge on his path. And I think if people do that, it
Yes.
will be a whole different world
Yes.
in special needs world and non-special needs world. I think it will be totally different. But you're absolutely right. There's certain things that how you ask, it will make a huge difference on somebody's day.
100%. Well, thank you, Savannah, for allowing me to pop on all of a sudden because I was listening. I normally just listen from my office, but I wanted to, it was great meeting you. I am going to challenge you and have Savannah send you information for Clubhouse, because I think it would be great if we could start a parent support group on Clubhouse.
I think so too. And I would like you to invite you to my live one of these days.
That would be great. Thank you.
Because
I
I think
appreciate it.
maybe we can talk about this platform and do a
Yeah.
live launch for it. Because I think it's neat, especially on the. I don't see like support, just support for that kind of stuff. But I think emotional support is needed. A place
Yes.
where everybody can say like, hey, my day was crazy. I wanted to scream, or share with people like, hey, today I just want to. Yeah, like no judgment, just like I just want to be heard and go from there.
That sounds great. Thank you very much, Savannah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was nice meeting you, and we're going to meet again.
All right, sounds good.
Well,
I don't know how to exit out of here, so.
okay, I'll just exit out for all of us. Thank you,
Okay.
Mama. Thank you, Richard, for joining me on this. Everyone, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this Listen, Love, Connect. And always remember to listen, love, connect. Bye.